10-digit dialing starts later this week in southwestern Indiana. What you need to know, plus a local legislator is among those actively working to secure road funding for the next 2-year state budget, and Dan Reininger discusses the Spencer County Kiwanis Club tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Well, it's been a long wait, but 10-digit dialing will soon be a fact of life here in southwestern Indiana. The Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor says all local calls in the 812 area code will have to be dialed with the area code plus the telephone number starting on Saturday. Even with the change in dialing, the OUCC says calls that are considered local now will continue to be local in the future. You will have to dial a 1 for any long-distance call. Now, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission opened a grace period for 10-digit dialing back on March 1st of last year. That agency says residents and businesses have now had plenty of time to adjust to the dialing change. The IURC says anyone who moves to a different area of southern Indiana on or after March 7th may be assigned a new phone number with the new 930 area code. The new area code is being implemented through the overlay method that has been used for all area code changes across the nation since 2008. The decision for an area code overlay locally was made back in July of 2013 after a year-long study that included 10 public field hearings and a 7-month-long public comment period. In the end, Anthony Swinger with the OUCC says the change was the least disruptive one for consumers. He says implementing the new area code and numbers should go well.
We would anticipate that it would be a fairly smooth process, at least from the technical standpoint of implementing the new code and the new numbers. Indiana is either the 24th or 25th state to implement a new area code through the overlay method, which is being used here. But we are also among 39 or 40 states that have needed to add new area codes, period, within the last couple of decades.
Swinger says a new area code will also need to be added in the Indianapolis area within the next couple of years. That area has been served by the 317 area code since the mid-1990s. On a final note, those of you with medical equipment or other safety and security equipment need to make sure the devices are programmed to use 10-digit dialing prior to Saturday. Contact your medical alert or security provider with any questions or concerns. As the Indiana General Assembly continues to craft a new 2-year budget, one area legislator is among those working on the never-ending issue of road funding. New District 63 Representative Mike Braun is on the House Ways and Means as well as the Roads and Transportation Committee this year. He says the issue of road funding is already proving to be difficult due to shortages of revenue coming from the state's gasoline tax.
That has been wavering, faltering for many years. Now funds into transportation come from general revenue sources. The biggest challenge roads and transportation will have working with the DOT is how do we get an updated, modern finance tool that is going to, like the gasoline tax did for so many years, pay for not only repairs but new construction.
Braun says any funding for new construction will have to come over time, including for projects such as the Mid-States Corridor. He says the biggest issue is raising the levels of current road funding. Braun says current funding levels are not even enough to keep up with maintenance for the state's interstate highways. Speaking of the Mid-States Corridor, Braun says the project remains on the state's radar as a Tier 2 project. Last week, project leader Hank Menke stated that he will begin seeking more money for the group to continue with efforts such as paying its bills and keeping everything moving. Braun says the biggest issue facing the Mid-States Corridor project at the state level is getting the project moving in terms of construction. Braun says thus far, state lawmakers are receptive, but getting the project to reality will require even more local backing.
I think the next step that we have to take as a group is marshaling all the stakeholders in our area, businesses, counties, cities, individuals, to see if there's an interest in kicking in to get this thing started on a small scale, medium scale, something that gets something done with the eventual goal of connecting it with a 4-lane interstate grade from Dale to south of Bloomfield, or another option if that's what works out to be best.
Braun says until the local funding can kickstart the project, it will remain as more of a dream rather than a reality. Another candidate has entered the race for a Huntingburg City Council seat. Vicki Lewis says she intends to seek the Republican nomination for the at-large seat on the council. The primary election is coming up on May 5th. In a news release, the 44-year-old says she is passionate about the city of Huntingburg. Lewis says she is excited about the progress that will happen in the city over the next 4 years. In addition to serving on the Huntingburg Stellar Committee, Lewis currently serves on the Huntingburg Planning Commission, the Board for Destination Huntingburg, and is the treasurer for the Huntingburg Herbstfest. She is also a former president of the Huntingburg Chamber of Commerce and is a member of the city's Downtown Revitalization Committee. Lewis earned her bachelor's degree in accounting at the University of Evansville in 1993. She also graduated from the Richard G. Lugar Excellence in Public Service Series last year. Lewis and her family have lived in Huntingburg for more than 15 years. The city of Jasper is preparing to celebrate a golden anniversary for a priest with many local ties. Father Angelo Quadrini, FDP, will be returning to Jasper next Sunday, February 15th to celebrate the 50th anniversary of being ordained as a priest. The celebration will begin with a solemn Mass of Thanksgiving at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Jasper at 11 o'clock next Sunday morning. That will be followed by a reception and light refreshments at Cathedral Healthcare Center, the former Providence home, along West 9th Street. That reception is underway at 2 p.m. Father Angelo was originally ordained on February 10th of 1965 in Boston. He has been part of the Sons of Divine Providence for many years and worked as the administrator of Cathedral Healthcare Center for more than 20 years. He was sent to Boston within the last year. Jasper Chamber Director Nancy Eckerly is a longtime friend of Father Angelo's. She says he has done a lot of good for not only the community, but for the Providence home as well.
He has just really put his arms around those men in particular and provided a sense of passion and compassion and just love for that group of men.
Now, employees at Cathedral Healthcare Center are working to bring Father Angelo back to Jasper permanently. Those employees have already started a petition through change.org. The petition, which is addressed to Father Malcolm George Dyer, asks for Father Angelo to be reassigned to Jasper as a spiritual advisor on a permanent basis. Again, you can go online to change.org and search Angelo Quadrini to find and sign the petition. As of news time this evening, the petition has garnered many signatures. The fallout continues at Camp Illiana after the camp's director was killed in an accident there last summer. Reports out of Daviess County say the Indiana Occupational Safety and Health Administration has cited the camp for 3 major violations of safety code in the death of 60-year-old David Bean. The maximum fine for each violation is $2,100, meaning the camp may have to pay $6,300 in total fines. Reports say the camp has chosen to set a date for an informal conference with IOSHA to settle the issue. That settlement could come as early as next week. Bean was killed the morning of July 21st of last year while he and 20-year-old Cody Chapman of Vincennes were working to remove a dead 75-foot tall tree at the bottom of a hill near the camp's water slide. After they finished cutting the tree, Bean and Chapman attempted to pull it down using a Kubota tractor with a rope tied to the front loader and attached to the tree. Officials say Bean was standing near the bottom of the tree when the front end loader began pulling on the tree and the rope then broke. The break in the rope caused the tree to sway and a large limb from the top fell and hit Bean in the head. Bean was pronounced dead at the scene. And finally tonight, changes to Indiana's tax code may soon be in the works. State lawmakers have had their first look at a Pence administration proposal that would streamline the code. The bill would do away with 29 income tax credits and deductions, including credits for donating to state universities or starting businesses in enterprise zones. Fisher's Representative Todd Huston says there may be more changes to the final list of exemptions that the bill would eliminate. Huston says the bill is designed to start discussions about little-used or small-dollar tax breaks and whether or not they should remain on the state's books. The Pence administration says the bill will be revenue neutral, but legislative analysts say redefining exemptions could wind up costing Indiana almost $250 million a year. The effect over the next 2-year budget could be around $150 million. The House Ways and Means Committee heard more than 2 hours of testimony about the bill, but they opted not to take a vote. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Dan Reininger. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.